You know what sticks in my craw? When YouTubers use cute, appealing cartoon versions of themselves on their channel. Who do they think they're fooling? Well, I'm here to do something about it. Coming to you from beautiful downtown Fortitude Valley, it's the Harry Gold Show, with your host, Harry Gold. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the program. Lots of people on this platform use avatars and artworks of themselves on their channel, but rarely do these truly capture their likeness. They tend to be generic and flattering, and I won't stand for it. As the self-appointed arbiter of caricatures on YouTube, I've humbly taken it upon myself to fix those adorable doodles, so they actually look like the not-so-adorable internet personalities. Starting with... Will Smith, everyone's favourite homegrown internet celebrity. In fact, it might surprise the uninitiated to know that, in between making god-awful movies, he does indeed run a successful YouTube channel, primarily featuring showbiz anecdotes and his zany offspring. But unlike the rest of Hollywood's presence on the YT, Big Willie Smith has eschewed the usual glamour shot and gone in for some more homespun, tuber-style cartoon branding. He's got a few iterations therein featured on his channel, including some of those spend a fortune to make it look like I spent peanuts type drawings, but today we'll zero in on Will's latest, Chill Beats to Quarantine To. See, that's a pretty good drawing of our friend Smitty. There is definitely a clear resemblance. Did he ever have a hairdo like that though?
What do you want, Will Smith? Hey, Will Smith. Man, I don't disturb you for a man. You definitely deserve it.
But alas, it is no longer rewind time, and the Prince of Bel-Air is not so fresh anymore. And lest one should think this is intended as a period piece, I dare you to find an episode of TFPOBA, TFPOBA, where Will Smith, as portrayed by Will Smith, uses the latest MacBook Air. These days, Agent J is looking a little less long and thin, and a little more cubic, especially when he smiles. Those delightful flapping jug handles on the side of his head are a key feature to Will Smith's likeness, and very recognizable, but alas, in this case, obscured by those fresh, rancid milk-colored headphones. Wild Will has got what we in the business call wide-set eyes, which is often the polite way of saying someone looks sort of like Sid the Sloth. Will's eyes are squinty as Snoop and broad like Biggie, and he needs all of that mileage in betwixt to fit his nose's substantial bridge. This would be an excellent place to segue into a joke about the bridge of one of his songs, but that would require me to pretend that getting jiggy with it actually qualifies as music. Anyhow, as I was saying, Jazzy Jeff's better half has a horizontally plentiful honker, but it doesn't travel far south from the brow, adding up to a very lateral nasal experience. Last but certainly not least, the unaging Will Smith of the past 30 years has finally given way to the pronounced cheap lines of the future. Now it just ain't Will Smith without him. Perhaps that's why the clone in Gemini Man looked like a younger but faithful and realistic CG recreation of someone who didn't quite look like Will Smith. Fred.
Remember Freddy?
When he was a YouTuber, he talked just like this.
Nowadays, Lucas Cruikshank runs a successful channel called Lucas, where he vlogs and reacts and gets up to all the archetypical YouTuber shenanigans. But back in the glory days of old YouTube, when Smosh ruled the earth and Nickelodeon was giving out TV shows like candy, Cruikshank played a character called Fred on his channel, Fred. And Fred was a big deal internet sensation. He was the first person to hit 1 million subscribers, he appeared on iCarly, and had his own TV movies where John Cena was his dad. Yeah, really. With all of that success, one thing he didn't have was a logo that looked even remotely like him. This was a time when the Paul McCartney 1963 bowl cut was the official hairstyle of the internet. Biebs, Pewds, Link, and of course Fred were all wearing the Wallowits. Fred's eyes, in reality, are not so Pringle-shaped. If anything, they're more Dorito-esque. But not Dorito-sized, more Cheeto-y in scale, and fairly far apart, about the length of a single Lay's, Smith's, Walker's, or Sabrita's chip, depending on where in the world you're watching from. There appears to be an upside-down 7 tattooed in the middle of the cartoon's face. Does anything look remotely numeric about Fred's real schnoz to you? I didn't think so. Now, the man's mouth was his moneymaker, and he did enough pitch-shifted screaming to fill out an entire trilogy of Alvin and the Chipmunks slasher movies. What I'm trying to say is, this is smaller and subtler than the real thing. Freddo's upper lip is sort of shaped like a distant seagull in a Bob Ross painting, and looks wider than his lower lip, giving him a cheerful smile that says, "Hi Georgie, what a nice boot." The face shape has one teensy little problem. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Circle head. The trick to getting it right is simple. We want the final product to look like the Joker went through an emo phase back in 2009.
Like you don't know me, Mom, and don't call me Puddin'.
Fred did a lot of screaming and crying in those days, so maybe it would be more appropriate if he... Yeah, there we go. Watch out, 2006. Here I come. JaidenAnimations, a YouTube animator who illustrates humorous anecdotes about anxiety and other such jolly topics. I've got a bone to pick with JaidenAnimations, which isn't even her real last name, by the way, and it's not even that she does thumbnails with 3 of herself in them. 1, 2, 3 Jaidens! No, dear viewers, JaidenAnimations is a monster. And I don't mean that metaphorically, like she's a bad person or she's done something wrong or anything. I mean literally, she is a supernatural ghoul. JaidenAnimations is a shapeshifter. Sometimes she's an octagon, with 8 fantastic sides and 8 awesome angles. But sometimes she's an honest-to-goodness pi-r-squared circle. Does she have a long face? Well, yes, but actually, no. What sort of nose? What shaped chin? What size smile? All of the above. What I'm trying to say is JaidenAnimations is blasted well hard to draw. No, I'm not making excuses. It's her fault. We'll start in the middle of her face and work our way outwards. You can't fool me, Jaiden. I know you have a nose. A little buttony one, right there. It may shock you to learn that in the IRL, Jaiden does not resemble Kirby so much as her self-portrait might suggest. Her real eyes are markedly less cucumber-shaped, and certainly without all that free real estate in between. Her eyes are wistful and upturned at the corners, with just a touch of haven't got enough sleep because I'm an animator in them. JaidenAn does also have teeth, fortunately for all concerned, and her real smile is not so cavernous. Here, the ubiquitous circle head once again rears its head. Jason Anime does have a roundish coconut, but not quite so spherical as all that. Her face is a little more defined, and her silhouette tapers at the top. Not quite to a 2012 Markiplier degree, but she's making inroads. By her own admission, Ms. Animations does not actually have hair that floops up at the sides like this.
I'd also like to mention how it doesn't do the weird tufty swoops like this in real life. Also, literally no one can draw it, and they complain to me about it when they try.
Literally no one can draw it.
Hold on 1 minute. As a typical, easily offended denizen of the internet, I take this as a personal attack. But instead of banging out an essay-length screed in the comments section, I'm going to show you all here and now how to draw Jaiden's hair. Out of spite. Draw a letter J, then a backwards J. Ooh, typo. Make it an L. Close it up like you're drawing a marshmallow peep, but lost concentration and drifted off. Now add an onion. Swoop from the peep to the temple, then throw down a little flipped around question mark. Add about 22% of a concentric circle, then stick a jelly bean to the onion. Now draw a Fred Flintstone nose sticking out the side and add a fat upper lip and mouth under it. Janus that on the other side, and bam! Take that, Jaiden. Jaiden is not a line drawing in real life, so she'd probably be more recognizable with a more realistic color palette. However, as we all know, it's just not a real storytime animation if the drawing isn't mostly black and white. Sorry, Swoozy. Of course, this improved design would be significantly harder to animate. But that, Jaiden, is what I believe the youth of today call a you problem. Let's play a game. I'll draw someone famous, and the first person to guess who it is in the comments gets shouted out next week when I tell you the answer. If you guessed that last week's caricature was David Lynch, the director who loves incomprehensibility almost as much as he loves cigarettes, then you are quite correct. The first person to get that right was Jack Morgan. Congratulations, and thanks everyone for playing. This person has what is often called a button nose. though its capacity for hitching up a pair of dungarees is dubious at best. They have either a sleepy eye or possibly a chronic case of DreamWorks face. As I do not condone armchair diagnoses, I shan't venture to guess which. Perched precariously atop their pencil neck is a face so broad and round, their silhouette could earn them a cease and desist from Chupa Chups. Much like Danny DeVito in just about anything other than Mars Attacks, this person's chin is small, but it stands out. Then these elements combine like the pieces of Voltron to generate a notable resemblance to Cindy Lou Who. Now who could this be? If you know who that was, or think there's a YouTuber cartoon in need of a makeover, let us know in the comments. While you're hanging around down there, you might even hit that subscribe button, and keep the good times rolling. But this has been the Harry Gold Show, so until next time, stay safe, and God bless.